Well, today, as we continue our series, Navigating Relationships, the title of my message is How to Experience a Marriage Breakthrough, okay? Now listen, it's really important. This message isn't just for married couples. And so if you're not married, don't tune me out. Because the principles that I'm going to teach you in today's message will bring a breakthrough to any relationship, okay? So I encourage you to stay leaned in. I heard about a pastor who was visiting a fourth grade Sunday school class to talk about marriage. In his introduction, he asked the class, "What does God say about marriage?" Immediately, one boy shot up his hand and he replied, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." I think that little boy had a whole lot of wisdom. Come on, most of us, when we get married, know not what we do. We don't have any idea about the hard work it requires to have a strong marriage. Great marriages require hard work. They don't just happen. Just like if you want to be great at your career, great in your education, great at running marathons, it requires hard work. You are not just going to show up and successfully run a marathon. No, you're going to have to train and put in some work. And a strong, godly marriage requires hard work. And today I know there may be some of your marriages, some of your relationships are not in a good place. And to experience a marriage breakthrough, a relationship breakthrough, will require hard work. Well, when I think about this current sermon series, Navigating Relationships, I think of the hard work it takes in navigating a raft. For two people to get in and row together and row in sync. I think it's a great way to illustrate marriage. And so I'm going to have my beautiful bride, Jamie. Come on, would y'all give it up for my wife here? We've been married 21 years. You know what else is awesome? Today marks the 10-year anniversary from when we started People's Church. Come on, can we thank God for what he's doing here at People's Church? 10-year anniversary. But we've been married 21 years, and so she's going to help me illustrate here. And so we're going to call this the love boat, all right? So we're going to call it the love boat, all right? And so I'm going to get in here and take a seat. And you know how it is when you first get married. You know, you get all close and cozy, and you just love being around each other. You're in that honeymoon stage. You know, you just loving life in your love boat. Oh, it's just so great and oh, so wonderful. And then all of a sudden, y'all know how life is. Life a hit, and all of a sudden, some rocky waters, and you got to start paddling. And here's what happens. Many married couples are not in sync. One's rowing too fast. One's rowing too slow. We're rowing in the wrong direction. How many of you know we getting lost? We start going the wrong way. You don't even want to row anymore. You just want to stop. Now you're just drifting anywhere and everywhere. And this is what happened in marriages. Folks can't get in sync. They're drifting. They start going the wrong way, the wrong direction. They get frustrated. They don't like the direction they're going. So they start rowing again, but they're not in sync. They're not in sync. And until they get in sync, they're in trouble. Matter of fact, there's a boating term. It's called a broach, okay? And broaching, Jamie still rows. That's what sometimes just one is rowing and the other one's not. And we ain't getting nowhere. But here's what happens with a broach. A broach is when you hit a rock, a boat hits a rock, and it capsizes, and it turns over. And that's what happens as couples are rowing and they're not in sync. They broach, and they hit a rock. Next thing you know, you got a hole in your boat. Next thing you know, you're sinking. Your marriage is sinking. Feels like it's getting flooded. Next thing you know, it's underwater, or it capsizes. And what happens is many marriages, they'll capsize because they are not in sync. And so today I want to give you 6 broaches to to avoid. Would y'all give it up for my wife? Come on, she did such a great job helping me out here in the love boat. I'm going to get up here. And so 6 brooches to avoid so that your marriage doesn't capsize. The first brooch is this. It's the brooch of selfishness. We know not what we do when it comes to selfishness. Marriage has a way of exposing weaknesses that we didn't know we had. Selfishness is one of the most dangerous weaknesses in marriage. It affects how spouses talk to each other, how they divide responsibilities, how they resolve conflict, and how they spend their time. Selfishness creates rough waters and can capsize a marriage. Marriages capsize when selfishness creates a me mentality instead of a we mentality. And maybe you're listening and wonder, well, how can I know if I have a me mentality? Here are a few examples. If you prioritize your needs and wants above your spouse's needs and wants, you have a me mentality. If you make decisions without considering how your decision will affect your spouse, you have a me mentality. If your marriage is all about you and seeking your own good, you have a me mentality. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 24, it says, no one should seek their own good, but the good of others. Marriages capsize when selfishness creates a me mentality, or it creates a you're the problem mentality. Matthew chapter 7, verse 3 through 5, it says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye? We could take that word brother and just turn it to spouse. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your spouse's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How do you say to your spouse, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly to remove the speck from your spouse's eye. And one of the difficult seasons in our marriage, I created separation between me and Jamie by fixating on everything that Jamie did and was doing wrong. I mean, if she could just get herself together, if she would just change, we'd be great. We would be good if she would change. And that whole time, I had a big old plank coming out of my eye. I failed to acknowledge my faults, my mistakes, the way I was hurting Jamie. I thought she was creating rough waters. No. I was creating rough waters. And I couldn't experience healing in my marriage until I was willing to take the plank out of my own eye. Marriages capsize when selfishness creates a consumer relationship. A selfish spouse creates rough waters by asking the question, what has my spouse done for me lately? You better not have that song in your marriage. What have you done for me lately? Doom, 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 doom. Oh, no, you better not have that in your marriage. They're focused on their spouse meeting their needs, doing what they want when they want it. Selfishness, it'll capsize your marriage. Number 2 is the brooch of not serving. We know not what we do when it comes to not serving. Mark chapter 10, verse 45, it says, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus is the perfect example of serving others. He came to the world to serve rather than be served. He himself served others. Our sinful nature convinces us that serving ourselves is what will make us happiest. Not only is that a lie, as Christians, we are called to live differently. We're not supposed to live like the rest of the world. Instead of looking to serve ourselves, we should model Jesus' life and serve others. And some of you are saying amen right now. You agree. You love to serve others until it comes to serving your spouse. You'll do for others what you won't do for your spouse. But we're instructed by God to serve our spouse. And so here are 3 keys to serving our spouse, serving God's way. First is we choose to serve. Galatians 5:13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. As followers of Christ, we have freedom, but we're not to use our freedom to indulge ourselves. Rather, we are called to use our freedom to serve others, to serve our spouse. Secondly, we don't serve to get, we serve to give. We don't serve for personal gain. It's not an exchange system. It's not, if you do this for me, then I'll do that for you. If you serve for personal gain, you will capsize your marriage. Instead, focus on how you can meet your spouse's needs, honor them, help them, participate in the things they enjoy. Thirdly, we serve with love and humility. We don't serve begrudgingly. Serving others involves more than our actions. It also involves our hearts and attitudes towards each other while we're serving. It involves love. Serving without love feels like an obligation. It feels insincere. It feels cold. At our house, our kitchen and our living room is connected. And there will be times where I am just chilling, sitting on the couch, and Jamie is in the kitchen and she's doing something, and she'll very nicely say, "Hey, honey, the trash is full. Would you take out the trash?" And there's a couple ways I can react to this. One, I could be like, "You got 2 legs and 2 arms. I mean, you're the closest to the trash. Why don't you take out the trash? I mean, I'm over here relaxing." Or I could huffing and puffing and trash. Or I could say, "Yes, dear," and out of a heart of love, serve and take out the trash. How I choose to respond affects me more than it affects her. According to 1 Corinthians 13:3, if I serve without love, I gain nothing. So what do if you don't feel like serving your spouse with love? Or you don't feel like serving your spouse at all? You serve in faith, believing that God will change your heart. You do what you know to do and trust that feelings will follow. Number 3 is the brooch of unforgiveness. We know not what we do when it comes to unforgiveness. It's very difficult to be an unselfish, servant-hearted spouse with unforgiveness in your heart. Your unforgiveness could be the rock that capsizes your marriage. See, some of you try to hide your unforgiveness or ignore it or act like it's not there. But hidden unforgiveness is very dangerous. It's just like the hidden rocks in the water that hit the boat. Others of you are loud and proud with your unforgiveness. You want everybody to know what happened to you, and you just keep stirring up the waters. In both scenarios, unforgiveness is keeping you from experiencing a breakthrough in your marriage. Holding unforgiveness will capsize your marriage with bitterness, resentment, and anger. Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 through 13, it says, "Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive." Scripture says we must forgive as the Lord has forgiven us. The Gottman Institute reported that the capacity to seek and grant forgiveness is one of the most significant factors contributing to marital satisfaction and a lifetime of love. See, forgiveness can help others, but first and foremost, it helps you. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. When you forgive, you're no longer the victim. When you forgive, you can let go of grudges. When you forgive, you can take the power back to live without resentment and bitterness. When you forgive, you can begin to heal. Forgiveness is a daily decision. It's a holy decision. And forgiveness has the power to transform your marriage that's underwater. Number 4 is the brooch of communication. We know not what we do when it comes to communication. A lack of communication will oftentimes lead in rowing in the wrong direction. Proverbs 13:17. An unreliable messenger can cause a lot of trouble. Reliable communication permits progress. Progress happens. Breakthrough happens. Healing happens in marriage and really in any relationship through reliable communication. And communication is hard work. It never stops. Jamie and I, we've been married 21 years, and we still have to work super hard at communicating with one another so that we stay synced up. Communicating about schedules, budget, kids, church, events, family, problems, tensions, goals, sex, vacations, holidays. It is hard work to communicate and to get on the same page and stay on the same page in marriage. And so what does reliable communication look like? I'm so glad you asked. First, be consistent. You must make time to communicate. It's so easy to start rowing in different directions because life is so busy. Work, kids, activities, practices, friendships, church. If you don't find a time to communicate, you will quickly find yourself rowing in different directions. Secondly, be a listener. James 1:19, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Well, one of the areas I've grown in over the years is listening to what Jamie is thinking and feeling. This has helped our marriage because for a good chunk of our marriage, I was just listening to respond. Wasn't listening to figure out what she was thinking and feeling. So now I've learned to lean in. Some of your marriages and relationships will see a breakthrough if you learn to listen. Thirdly, be truthful. Ephesians 4:15. Instead, speaking the truth in love. You and I have to work to create a safe environment for our spouse to be truthful with us. We need to know what our spouse is thinking and feeling. In a strong and healthy marriage, in a strong and healthy marriage, the couple can share their pain, disappointments, lack of trust, desired expectations, frustrations, wins, learns, and victories. Some of your marriages are rowing in the different directions because you aren't truthful with one another. You're frustrated about something and you're not communicating. Fourth, be loving. Ephesians 4:15. Instead, speak the truth in love. We will grow to become in every respect the mature body of Him who is the head, that is Christ. A major key to reliable communication and a growing and maturing marriage is learning how to speak the truth in love. See, you can be truthful and not loving, and all that will do is cause you to row in the opposite direction of your spouse. I know this from experience. One of my weaknesses in areas that I've grown in is having a sharp and condescending tongue. I have been truthful and hurting. And I've grown in not reacting. I'm not perfect, but I've grown in not reacting with hurtful words, really processing. What am I saying? How is this going to be received? Is this loving and helpful? But because all being a jerk, being mean, being sharp does is divide my marriage. Next is be selective. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, so that it may benefit those who listen. Listen, being truthful doesn't mean you say everything you think, okay? If you say everything you're thinking, you're going to have some unwholesome talk. We can't say everything we're thinking and build up our spouse, our marriage, our relationships. Some of you talk too much. You have to start keeping your mouth shut. because your words are tearing down your marriage. It's causing you and your spouse to row in opposite directions. Lastly, be a peacemaker. Ephesians 4:3. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Think about this. What do you value more? Always being right or maintaining peace? Winning an argument or rowing in the same direction? You can win every argument and have a miserable relationship, have a miserable marriage. You must put a high premium on maintaining unity and peace in your marriage. The fifth brooch is the brooch of investing. We know not what we do. When it comes to the amount of investing it requires to have a strong marriage. So many marriages are struggling because many people find themselves just existing in their marriage instead of investing in their marriage. Some of you are just living as roommates. The passion is gone. You have no interest in your spouse. You live day after day without connection and communication. You're just going through the motions. You've checked out of your marriage because of challenges, sin, pain, disappointment, disillusionment, or worriness. And your marriage can get better if your investment gets better. And when the passion's gone, you probably don't feel like investing in your marriage. But breakthrough will only happen with investment. And I've learned that feelings follow actions, because it's easier to act your way into a feeling than feel your way into an action. Start investing in your marriage even though you don't feel like it. Revelation chapter 2, verse 4 through 5. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. Consider how far you've fallen. Repent and do the things you did at first. Start doing the things you did at first. Your marriage will improve when you start putting in the work. One of the best things that Jamie and I did when our marriage was in a bad place was we kept investing in our marriage. We kept dating. We kept talking. We kept praying. We kept going to counseling. We kept holding hands. We kept working on our marriage. Proverbs 14:23. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. People don't do the hard work, but want a profit. Poor relationships always have poor investment. Start dating your spouse again. Start dating once a week. Start setting time aside daily to communicate with your spouse. Start going to counseling. Some people will tell me, well, we tried counseling and it didn't work. I went and the counselor didn't fix things. But counseling is only as good as your willingness to put in the work after the hour session is over. It's not the counselor's fault if you won't do the hard work. People say the sermon on marriage, the marriage conference didn't help my marriage. It's not the pastor's fault or the conference speaker's fault if you're not willing to do the work when the service is over. Poor relationships have poor investment. Start doing the things you did at first. Start forgiving your spouse. Start praying for and with your spouse. Start texting your spouse loving words 2 times a day. Start hugging each other every morning and evening. Start being intimate with your spouse. Start taking an overnight trip with just you and your spouse every 6 months. Poor relationships have poor investment. And then number 6 is the brooch of commitment. We know not what we do when it comes to the level of commitment it requires to have a strong marriage. To have a strong marriage, it takes an unwavering commitment to God, to your spouse, and to your wedding vows. That's why Jesus said these powerful words in Matthew 19:6. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. To have a marriage breakthrough requires a resolve in your soul to work through problems and stay committed to your marriage. And I know some of you are thinking, I just don't know if I can work through these problems. And you're wondering if there are biblical reasons for a divorce. In a couple of weeks, as we talk about navigating challenging relationships, we'll address biblical reasons for a divorce. But today, I want you to know that every marriage has a lot of problems. Every marriage has a lot of challenges. Every marriage has a lot of disagreements. And to have a breakthrough in a strong, godly marriage, you have to make up your mind nothing is going to separate you. I made up my mind years ago. Jamie and I, we will be married till death do us part. And there have been challenges. There have been difficulties. But I always go back to that vow. I've gone back to that commitment. We've had to do some hard work, painful work with tears. But we have put in the work. We are committed. That is my girl. I love till death do us part. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, where are we going? Dude, I'm going with you. It's hard work. Marriage, relationships are hard work, but the hard work is worth it.